Okay, today we're going to talk about the Contax T. It's a 135 35 millimeter film rangefinder, very compact. This is the black version that actually is prone to letting fingerprints all over. It's a clamshell design with an incredible 2.8 38 millimeter sonar lens made by Zeiss. It was built between 1984 and 1987, basically Contax Yashica. It's a not a parallax corrected rangefinder. And yeah, it's the 38 millimeter f2.8 lens is really something that's renowned for the quality. 5 elements in 4 groups. It was this collaboration with Carl Zeiss, and the design of the body was by FA Porsche. So super interesting, high quality, meant to be luxurious camera. It was also sold, as we can see here, in a less fingerprint prone finish in silver. I'm not going to mess up with this one. It's charged with a film I'm testing right now. But you had those two really good looking cameras. And basically the body was made of titanium and hardened aluminum. And yeah, not much more to say about this camera, except we can directly go see a few examples, and then we'll come back for another digression on the technical aspects of this classical camera. First two examples. As usual, when I use a camera and test it, I test it for months with many rolls of film if it's an analog camera. And here's a Contax T. I have two copies. Here I've tested it with many films, and I'm going to start with those two pictures using Vision 3, Kodak Vision 3 film. So it's a Scene A film. It's an expired roll, so there might be some slight color shift, but that's okay. That's not what we're looking for. What I was looking for is more the resolution of the film, and for those examples. And that's in the Bay of Reykjavik. So very interesting camera because it's super compact. I like rangefinders, so if you like manual focus, it's really nice. Very practical to use, very comfortable actually, even so it's really tiny. Next two pictures, same thing here, same settings in terms of camera and film. It's an automatic exposure camera in that case, and that's how I used it, and it works great. As you can see, the rendering, the definition is really nice. The geometry is really great too, very good rendering, and actual pleasure to use. The ergonomic is pretty nice, but if, for example, with here again two pictures of Iceland. Again, if you compare it to a similar kind of camera, which I would take the Olympus XA for the example, it's not going to be as easy to use as one-handed, because you need to, on the Contax T, you need to rotate. You have to have this sort of panel that you pull down, and gets the lens out. It's a telescopic lens, so that you can't do with one hand. So you will need both hands to take a picture. So it's not as fast and ergonomic as a camera like the XA, which you can use one-handed. But the results are really, really great. It's completely true to its reputation in terms of optical quality. The results are really nice. Here again on the left, that's still the Vision 3 film. On the right, that's I forgot the name. The Aerocolor, basically Kodak film rolled in under the name Elektra by Flick Film. Here I got it. Also a very precise film, but different rendering, obviously. And that's in south of France. So as you can see, again, here are two pictures. The great rendering of that lens, and the focusing is great with this rangefinder, even so it's really tiny. And everything's nothing much to say bad about this camera. Here, a larger display of a photo from the city of Arles, south of France, from the Luma Tower made by Frank Gehry. I think it's interesting to see how precise and how straight this lens is. It was supposed to be really higher quality type of camera at the time, and I think it doesn't disappoint. You can see the symmetry on the left here of the city of Arles, and the train station is a little bit below, out of the frame. Here again, details of the city of Arles. Really great camera to use. Not much to say. It works. It's always on you because it's really compact. The manual focusing is fine. I mainly use it in automatic exposure. That's my way of working usually. Here another picture, and actually I put this one in because it's an accidental picture. This camera is really good at calculating the right amount of light of exposition on the film. I don't remember taking that picture, so I must have opened the lens and pressed the button. Basically, it's kind of less prone to that kind of error than I gave the examples of Olympus XA before, because you need to open up the camera and take the lens out. So flip this panel. So here I must have had it ready and just pressed at the wrong moment, but it's a long exposure. It tried to compensate for the low light situation. And as you can see here in those two pictures, first on the left, I think it's interesting. That's a kind of a close-up, and just gives you an idea of how the lens performs at that point. And on the right, that's a long exposure in a really dark place. And even so, I moved at the end, and there were light sources, stronger light sources. It maintains a good calculation of the exposure time overall. Here again, two pictures. On the left, that's still without flash, and on the right, that's just talking about the flash. So the flash module is, you have to screw it on. It makes for a less compact camera when you have it on, but you can still take it. It's quite compact by itself, so that's what I did. I always had the module somewhere in another pocket or whatever, but I actually didn't find myself using it that much. But here I wanted to try, and works. Nothing much to say about that. And here again, two pictures. That's a travel central Switzerland somewhere, sometime, and without the flash on the left. And here I just wanted to take a picture and see what the reflection would be in the mirror. And I had that camera on me. That's one of the main advantages of those really tiny cameras. I always have other cameras, usually always have other cameras, but this one really is tiny and stays wherever you go. Going also to black and white, a few tests with black and white. That's Japan Camera Hunter film. Mr. Bellamy puts this in canisters and sells it from Japan. Really great film, quite contrasty. I'm not pleased with my shots, but I thought there would be good examples of how the camera reacts when you take pictures. Those two pictures are in Iceland. I don't remember when, but anyways, just an idea of high contrast situation and lower contrast one on the right. Here again, a high contrast situation on the left with GCH film. And on the right, I'm not sure about the film I used, but that's not the point. It's a less contrasty film, and I think it's RetroPan from Foma, not sure, but and it's in Serbia. It gives you an idea also of the rendering, this really precise lens, how it can render scenes. Really nice, really great geometry, as I said earlier. And here again, we can see the details in the trees, and the exposition is kind of spot on every time. So, and here another detail of that's Belgrade in Serbia on the right. Anyhow, these were the examples. I hope it gives you an idea of the character of this camera. So basically, as we've seen, this lens is something very interesting. The reputation isn't. It didn't get its reputation for nothing. So very precise, very nice to use. Handling this camera, it's super compact. It's really nice and precise. You can focus here in front. You have the aperture ring that's here. Really, really great design. You can have the ISO set by pushing this button. You have a self timer. You have a lightning compensation plus 1.5 button here. You can activate. And then otherwise you have the release film button down here. You can open, of course, that helps to put the film in. You can open the body like this and set the film inside. So a very well designed camera, quite simple. You have the battery compartment here. And it was also meant to be used with its flash. I'm going to use the other color flash just for the fun of it. The silver version, and to add it on the side you had to screw it on like this. Here it's screwed, you can turn it on, and then it was basically coupled to the camera for other kinds of scenes where you would need more lighting. And here the flash works. So very simple, very efficient, and a great camera to use. Definitely a classic, and hopefully you'll have one in your hands for your enjoyment soon.